Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Rome Business Radio. This is the Rome-Floyd Chamber Small Business Spotlight. We are broadcasting from the Hardy Realty Studios, which are located on Broad Street in the Hardy on Broad space, and we work in cooperation with the Rome News Tribune. I'm Roger Manus with Rome Business Radio.
I'm Carly Parker with the Rome-Floyd Chamber. Today on our podcast, we have Pam Powers-Smith. Also with the Rome-Floyd Chamber.
That's
our
your boss.
Our president. I was getting there, Roger. And then we also have two great gentlemen that we know very well as well. We have Shane Walley with River City Bank, and then we have David Tomlin with RCB Wealth Management.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How we doing?
We're good. Great.
Pam, thank you for gracing us with your presence.
I'll come anytime.
Did I see on Facebook, have you been traveling?
I did.
Where'd you go?
We did a big trip to Europe and the UK and did lots of sporting events.
Oh.
Yeah, we did Tour de France, Wimbledon, and the Open.
You attended, not participated.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wait, thank you for clarifying, because I am an athlete.
Well, if the pre-podcast conversation is any indication, we're going to have a lot of fun in this one because we were off on a college football tangent and laughing and joking and poking fun before. But hello, gentlemen, Shane and David, how are we?
We are good. Doing great.
Okay. So, Shane, I guess we'll start with you. River City Bank, what is your job title? What do you want our listeners to know about your fine institution?
Sure. So, we are best bank of Rome. We were voted the best bank in 2021 and hope to win again this year. My title is Commercial Relationship Manager. So I'm a relationship manager. I can do consumer and commercial, but primarily focus on commercial relationships, attaining those relationships, growing those relationships, and maintaining them within the bank. So it's my primary responsibility. But apparently I do podcasts as well now. So.
Relationships in banking are
the key.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a critically important job. Well, relationships in all business are key, but you do want a personal experience when you walk into a bank. So is that what you focus on?
Absolutely. And I like getting out of the bank, really. You know, we in my role, we love to get out, see money in motion. I love riding around Rome and seeing all the deals that I have been a part of, and to see those businesses flourish, and to see the real estate that we lend money on, watch it flourish as well. So I really enjoy getting out, being part of the community. We are a community bank. We're the only true community bank that's headquartered in Rome. And it's just a great place to work. I worked at a larger institution before this one. I've been at River City for going on 3 years now. And it's just great to be part of a bank that puts the community first and cares about the people.
How did River City get its name? I'm teasing.
We are literally right on the river, and we just opened a branch up in Blairsville. And I asked our president, I said, "Are there any rivers up there?" And he said, "Yeah, there are. It works out great." So, and it worked out perfectly. And I visited the branch recently, and it's beautiful. It looks aesthetically much like ours here in Rome. And so, we're right on a very valuable piece of real estate right here in downtown Rome, right on the corner in between the rivers.
Well, thanks. I know you said you like getting out. Thanks for getting out today and coming to our Hardy on Broad space for the Big Rome Chamber podcast. Okay, David, RCB Wealth Management, branded as RCB Wealth Management. So that is your role. Tell us what you do and how you can make me rich.
Sure. Well, I love that. Sure, just set it up. I'm one of 3 wealth advisors. We have a team of advisors, and our purpose is to help people with their life and financial planning. And so we help out, whether it's wealth planning is broad, but we help out with retirement, we help out with education planning, we help out with inheritances, we help out with just savings in general. And so but there's 3 of us there that help out with that.
All right. What is the biggest mistake people make that they should not make?
in investing or in life, or we do a holistic approach. I can tell you some of the most expensive ones, but that's right.
In their college choices, no,
right, that's right. No, really, I think the biggest one is starting too late. I think people need to start young, and that's the hard part for all of us. We get to a part in our lives where we look back and go, "Man, if I'd only done a little more, or if I'd only signed up and participated in my company's retirement plan, or if I'd only done something that would help my future," because we're too busy enjoying today, or we're too busy, whatever that may be.
Yeah, that's a difficult concept to grasp when you're young, that the sooner you can put your money to work for you,
Right.
the more there will be on the back end.
Well, it is the power of compounding, and whether that's truly saving from an interest standpoint or whether that's investing in whatever you choose to invest in, looking back over time, I think that's the
Compound
big
interest,
things.
the
It
two
is.
most powerful words in finance.
I mean,
Compound interest.
That's right.
I remember being young and going to work for a big company in Atlanta, and they 401k.
Sure.
This is many years ago, of course. Now people kind of know what they are, but at the time it was, what is this? And then somebody explained it to me like, they're going to match, and it's basically free money.
Correct.
It's they're going to match to a certain point. I forgot what it was.
Sure.
So it was like, oh yeah, I'm enrolling in this.
Right. Sure. And I had a young man come in the other day, kind of ahead of his time. He was in his 20s, and he said, "Hey, I've got some money I want to do. I'm thinking about getting in the market. I want to invest money." And I had a couple different questions. The first one is, do you have some emergency fund? Do you have some money set aside because your car's going to have to get new tires? You're going to need something done. You can't go completely illiquid. And then the other was, are you participating in your company's plan? And before you do that, this is a great idea and you need to do that. But he was leaving money on the table. And I told him, you got to go. So tomorrow, go in and talk to your HR and find out what they match and find out and at least do enough to get the match and start that part of it.
Right. And the earlier, the better.
Sure. He was in his 20s. So he's got, it was perfect. And it was great that he actually went and asked somebody a question.
Right. Well, because when you're that age, sometimes you're thinking about, okay, I'm saving up to get out of an apartment and into a house, or I'm getting married, or the first child is on the way.
Right.
And you're thinking, I've got to throw every dollar into my current life. But really, you need to be putting some dollars away for your later life.
That's right.
Okay. And Pam, these guys active in the chamber, and you said you came today to join us because you said
They're my favorite.
Yeah.
Whoa, we don't have favorites.
That's right.
Okay, you're
Until somebody else hears this, and then they're
Yes,
we know better.
yeah.
Don't
We know
interrupt,
better.
Carly.
We love a lot of people.
There you go. Carly's new, and she doesn't want to offend all the other ambassadors.
But yes, they are ambassadors, which means they volunteer for us. They come to our ribbon cuttings and our business after hours events. And anytime we need to have volunteers, or if they just want to visit with the folks that we're having an event with. So they are very crucial to what we do.
how does one become an ambassador?
So it's a lengthy process. No, we're
Highly
actually,
selective.
we're actually not accepting any right this minute, but we will be later in the year.
Well, yeah, it can't be a cool club if everybody can get in.
That's right. But yeah, they can just have a conversation with Carly, and we can ask them a few questions. One of which, do you have time to be an ambassador? And then we just go through a few questions with them. And but really, anybody is able to do that. So yeah.
Well, so Shane, in your role, it's great to support the chamber, but that connectivity with the chamber and all of the other businesses, you talk about relationship building. That's a sweet spot, isn't it?
It is. It's crucial. And it's really great when you see them actually cut the ribbon. We've talked about this, but when you finance a business, and it doesn't have to be one that I did and one that anyone did, and you go and you see them cut the ribbon and see the joy that comes across their face when their dream comes true, it's really special. And we have a lot of ribbon cuttings. I just told Pam we have one today at 2:00. So it seems like every day we have ribbon cuttings, and it's great. It's a real highlight of getting out in the community and seeing their dreams come into reality.
Well, it sounds like you guys are on the front line. Everybody's worried about inflation and 2 consecutive quarters of GDP decline.
Right.
How is that affecting people coming in to want to start businesses and borrow money and things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just got out of that meeting before I came here.
Oh, good. We got the latest info.
Yeah, right. Inflation is 8.5%, and
I lost track.
yeah, and gas is it's amazing how what an indicator gas prices are. Gas has come down a little bit. Will it continue to come down? Will it go back up? You mentioned a recession. Technically, by definition, that's what we're in right now. But really, we're still seeing loan growth. We're still seeing people borrow money. And so we as a bank just have to be cautious, be very selective about our loans and how we price those. But really, loan growth is holding strong right now for us.
Yeah, the price of gas, my understanding, not an economist, that affects most people's disposable income, which means they may go out to dinner less or go to the movies less, which means there's less dollars circulating through the economy and everything starts to shrink a little bit. So as bankers, how do we fix that?
That's a good question. I mean, gas affects, like you said, how much we go out, how much people travel. If you're, in Rome, traffic's bad enough, but you live in Atlanta, like you were saying before we came on. And in Atlanta, look how many people are not in the HOV lane, right? I mean, they don't carpool. And so everybody has a car, everybody's traveling. It's one of those things, that sure, we'd like to be a greener country, use more public transportation, but people are just going to travel. It's not, Pam just went to Europe, as we were talking about before. People are still going to get out and go. They're still going to travel. It's just about how they find ways in their personal budget to make that happen with higher prices on everything. Not just gas. I mean, milk, bread, everything has gone up. My mom was telling me recently, she went down to visit my grandmother and, who was 93, I believe. And she was buying her some groceries and milk was $5 a gallon. Who would have ever thought? But wow. That's where we are now.
Well, David, is that something that you guys touch on in your advice and wealth management? Do you help people set up a budget so that they can invest more, or is that too hands-on?
Yeah, that's a little more detailed than we really do. Yeah. We do talk to people about it, and we do, have those kind of conversations. But in terms of actually, should you have 4 channels on Comcast, or should you use DirecTV, or should you do? Yeah. We rarely get into that much detail. So,
but you can say, hey, look, sit around your kitchen table, reevaluate your budget that you can set some aside.
Well, that's right. What is your disposable income? Can you look at something and say, are we going through, are we eating out more than we used to? Or is there some other places we can tighten our belt so that we can do more in our retirement or more for later?
Yeah, see, I think everybody needs a dozen streaming services.
Well, that's it. Or you look at your credit card. I've got 3 children. 2 are now out, but it seems like I've got 4 or 5 of those that are on my credit card every month. And I'm like, what is this? And of course, nobody knows. I don't know, Dad. I don't know. Well, I'm going to cancel it. And that's how you find out who it is.
Yeah, when the kids get out of the house, how do you untangle them from your family cell phone plan?
Right. That's probably a whole different career.
I thought you were going to say Netflix, because I was going to say you don't, because I still use my parents.
This works perfectly, because on the way to school this morning, I told my girls that I was going to be on a podcast today. And of course, my 10-year-old knew exactly what it was. And she said, Dad, could you work me into the podcast somehow? So Ava, here you are. And
hi, Ava. How are you?
And we're going to talk about me canceling the Netflix subscription at my house, which I hear about quite a bit right now. So yes, we do look at that as well.
Ava, we're on your side. You get all the streaming services you want.
Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN
toy
Plus.
Budget. Is there a toy budget?
That's Courtney. That's my youngest one.
Ice cream budget.
I was going to go the opposite way. No streaming services for you kids. Study.
No. I'm Team Ava.
Earn those privileges.
I'm teasing. Hi, Ava. Thanks for listening. And, work hard and be kind. And start investing early, Ava.
Make good decisions, Ava.
Yeah. Suddenly this has turned into a life advice.
Yes, just for Ava.
for all of our regrets. What is your guys' background? Shannon, start with you.
Sure. I'm from Rome, born and raised. My grandfather, way back in 1970, I believe, he was the one that brought the shrimp boat to town.
You said way back.
Yeah.
that just seems like 20 years ago to me. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
The shrimp boat. Oh, yeah. Classic.
He brought the shrimp boat to town, and then my parents moved over from Mississippi and bought it from him. And then I was born a few years later and grew up here in Rome, operating the cash register on Friday night at the shrimp boat. And
are there photos of this?
Maybe.
That sounds like something for the Chamber website.
It does.
Yep. And then went to Georgia Southern University, graduated there, got married. My wife, Laura, is the principal at Elm Street here in Rome, and she and her family are from here as well. We ended up moving to Texas, and I worked for a fellow Roman out in Dallas for 3 years, and came back to Rome about that time and worked for family here for a little bit, and then got into banking. Went back to Shorter and got my MBA. And then about 3 years ago, Jamie Talent called me and asked if I would be interested in coming over to River City. And it's been a great experience. It really has.
Well, it's quite possible that I handed you some cash one time at
You may have. You very well may have. It's amazing. I learned to count back change at a very young age. And then when I got into banking, I actually worked as a teller some, and I had flashbacks from counting change back at a young age. It's a lost art, I think, in today's world. They punch in how much you gave them on the register, and if it said give back $100, they'd do it.
Well, and even now, so many people pay with the digital stuff, and I use cash rarely, because there's Apple Pay and just swipe a credit card. You don't even think about it. Yeah. But yeah, it is a lost art to make change.
Right across the street here at El Zarape, Carlos's kids, he had every one of those kids working the cash register growing up at a young age. I mean, very young. And so, yeah, that's my story.
See, Carly, cash is it's pieces of paper with presidents' pictures on it.
You're just showing how old you are.
And there's coins with presidents' pictures on it. And
were you around with George Washington?
Yeah, that's how far back I go. Oh my gosh. Okay, David, what is your background?
Well, we came to Rome about 30 years ago. I grew up in Atlanta.
This is a great story. Yeah.
So my wife grew up in Southwest Georgia, and we got married in we got married in 1990, and then early 90s we started looking to raise a family and decide where we wanted to live. And 285 and Atlanta and had gotten bigger, and we saw how big it was going to be. And we were getting home later and later and trying to figure out how to get kids in that mix. And so we went looking for a place to raise a family. And so we looked at several different places in Georgia, my family was all in Atlanta. In fact, my parents had grown up there, and most everybody, cousins were there. But we went and looked at a lot of different places and chose Rome. And we're fortunate to kind of came up here and found jobs in a hurry. And we've raised 3 children. We've got one left that's a junior at Rome High.
So, and you have thrown yourself into town,
Sure.
with your involvement and everything. So what was give me your Chamber of Commerce picture. What was the allure of Rome to you and your wife that made you say, this is home?
Well, it was amazing to us. We came into town on Sunday afternoons. We'd go for drives. She had said, hey, if we stay within it, would you go an hour away? Would you go 2 hours away? Would you go, close enough? So we figured if we could go Athens, Gainesville, Rome, anything like that. Well, we came into Rome, and on a Sunday drive, drove up here on 411. It was beautiful. Drove around. It seemed like a beautiful place. A couple weeks later, we came up here for dinner, and this is what surprised us, because we came in on a Saturday night, and we had trouble finding a parking spot on Broad Street. And all across, at least in our views, most small towns had dried up, but they had just done the streetscape. And I think that was part of back before we got here, but they had just done a lot of that. And so we came into town and we said, wow, something's going on here that's not going on in other towns. And even in her hometown in Southwest Georgia, things were, it was just getting, people were moving out to the perimeters or the outer loops or whatever people were doing, and the towns were kind of drying up. So it was neat to come in here. So
yeah, it is a thriving downtown.
It really is. And it's had some turnover during those years. If you look back at it, looking at back in the day, at that time, there were a lot of furniture stores or a lot of other bigger, other boutiques, other places there. And Rome's done a great job of finding other businesses, and then folks willing to live downtown in the last several years has been a great boon.
Yeah, that's becoming a thing too. Well, Shane, I wanted to circle back with you on, you talked about you had worked for a bigger bank, and then 3 years ago, I guess, came to River City. What are the differences and what makes River City better? Is it that relationship building?
It's a great question. Well, everything is local. I mean,
there we go.
When I worked at a bigger bank, I had to pick up the phone and call Atlanta or Nashville or Orlando or Charlotte or wherever. And so, coming over to a local, a true community bank, everything is right here. And, when I'm out knocking on doors or calling people, I really feel like, and I know that the bank has the best interest of those people in mind. You're not just a number. We truly care about the relationship and how to help you and your family and your business grow. And the customer service that we provide is just it's next level. I had a young man call me about a car loan. I guess it was Tuesday. and he was in Atlanta, and he's from Rome, but he wanted to do business with us. And so, I offered to meet him in Cartersville or Kennesaw with the loan docs and the check that day so he could go buy his car. Ultimately, it didn't work out. The deal fell through on his car, but we at least put that out there, and he knew that we were willing to meet him halfway just to make the deal work. He didn't have time for us to overnight the documents and him send those back. So I'll be happy to come to you.
Not to put you guys on the spot, because what is the history of the bank?
The bank was founded in 2006.
Yeah.
And so I believe the first president was Eddie Wilson. And then Roger Smith was a longtime president who retired in 2019. And then Jamie Talent took over, and the growth has just been unbelievable. That's one reason I chose to come there. If I was going to pick a community bank to work for, I really wanted to work for Jamie. His family has strong banking roots, and he knows how to grow a bank. And like I said, we've already opened another location in Blairsville, and as he likes to say, those are our two goalposts, and we want to connect everything in between. So that's our goal.
Yeah. So where are you located in Rome?
We are at the corner of 2nd Avenue, 228 North 2nd Avenue is our exact address, right across the street from Barron Stadium.
Right across the river.
Yeah, the old former Rome Seed and Feed location. For all the old school Rome people out there, they'll know that spot.
And so what do you guys do besides a podcast like this? How do you connect with the community? Social media, or do you advertise? How do you market yourselves?
We do all those things. We have a strong social media presence. We advertise. We're heavily involved in the community, heavily involved in the chamber. Any way we can put our name out there and be a part of things, we do it. And so being headquartered right here in downtown Rome, you can't miss us. And we get out and go to as much as we can, as often as we can.
And they're hosting a business after hours.
We are. Thank you. Yeah, September 27th, we're going to host a business after hours from 4:30 to 6:30 at the bank, and it's in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month.
And that's a chamber.
It's a chamber event. Yes.
And they just Pam, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but when did you become president of the chamber? How long have you been there?
December 1st.
Yeah. So how's it going?
It's still really busy, but it's great.
Yeah. Well, you guys, you always talked about the ribbon cuttings, because a year or two ago there was this monstrous membership drive. You went over 1,000 members. So talk about that growth and all the ribbon cuttings and how the chamber is doing these days.
Yeah. So still growing. I think COVID scared everybody. I think people not knowing what was going to happen with personal budgets and inflation, et cetera. But we had the membership campaign. We brought on new people, but we continue to bring on new people. And this lovely lady beside me is why we're bringing in new people. So
is that burst of youthful energy?
Absolutely. Keeps me going every day. I think we joked with her yesterday. Until you say no, she's going to keep coming back.
And I really do mean that. I will only say I have that bulldog energy. And that's the only thing I'll say about that.
But continuing to grow. And I think that's for a lot of different reasons. I think Rome is a great community and it's growing. And then I think, again, going back to COVID, I think a lot of people realized, they were looking for what made them happy. And we did have people quit their jobs and open businesses because they'd always dreamed of opening a business, and they just went out on that limb and did it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's I keep coming back to David's story about how he and his wife decided we're going to go pick a town to raise a family. And, some people decide, we're going to go to Colorado or, sure, Alaska or Hawaii or something. But in Rome, 1 year, whatever playoff format you had to whittle it down to one, whatever your March Madness was. But I want to circle back around to the process of customers at RCB Wealth Management.
Right.
Take me through it. I've got some money and I don't know what to do with it. I come knock on your door and say, please help.
Sure. Well, we will sit down and we will ask you lots of questions before we make a recommendation.
Okay.
I want to know what your goals are. I want to know what your objectives are. I want to know what your experience is. I want to know what you're trying to attain, because
early retirement.
Right. Yeah. Sooner rather than later. That's right. Sooner rather than later. That's right. And then setting up a plan for that. So what have you done so far? How is that invested? Do you have other places that you've got investments? Are they what you need to be investing in? And then look at that and make some suggestions based on what we've talked about, based on your risk tolerance, based on what you're trying to do.
And do you find yourself having to kind of hold people's hands when the market gets all shaky and drops? And
Well, and in the last couple, I was telling somebody the other day, we do a lot of check-in calls too.
Yeah.
Calling people and say, hey, I'm just calling to check in, seeing what's happened in the last couple of months. We've got a plan in place. Let's talk. And so, we look and see what are their concerns? What is the issue? Make sure what we've set in place is still appropriate. Has anything changed? Do we need to tweak anything or not? But that's part of it.
The famous comedian Jeff Foxworthy, who has the lines, "You might be a redneck if."
Right.
One of my favorite lines of his, "If your retirement plan is to win the lottery,
yes,
you might be."
Well, that's right.
So we need something beyond hoping.
Well, that's right. We're back to that concept of monthly contributions better.
You should still play the lottery, though. It's fun.
Yeah,
those are your hyper aggressive investments, and that you can go in and put your $5 down or whatever on a Friday or Saturday night. You find out immediately whether you're going back to work.
Somebody won $1 billion
right.
last month.
We find out whether we're going to work on Monday based on how Saturday night's drawing went, and so and people are out there and they do groups. You see these things where I'm in with a group of people that are doing that. But
I had a coworker one time with a company car, and we were talking about the lottery. Hey, Bruce, what are you going to do if you win the lottery? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call our boss and tell him to come get this car out of my yard because I'm done working. But it takes planning and
it does, and it's the personal touch. I think Shane talked about that very well in the sense that we get to know you first, and so we find out either we've met you through some organization that we've been a part of. We're very active. All of us are very active in the community. We're a part of things that matter to us, whether we've been on different boards for different nonprofits or been active in our children's schools or coached football or done whatever it is. We've interacted for most of our lives so people know us, or they get referred to us from somebody that they trust. And so we've built those relationships. And
everybody has a unique circumstance. So the fact that you go through this question and answer because some people are married, some people have more kids, it depends upon your income, it depends upon your goals.
That's right.
So you
take
all of that.
That's right. You take into effect whatever is happening in their lives, because something that works in your life may not be what's most important in mine. And so, and there's a changing demographic, changing dynamic in families. There's always flux. And so, and then, what do you do when mom and dad get a certain age and they need some help? And how do you help with that? And not necessarily where we actually do that, but I've talked to several people in our age group. Our parents are getting older and they're starting to need extra help. How do you help that group, as they call them, the sandwich generation? How do you help them take care of their parents, make sure they're safe? And then how do you take care when you've got two kids at college that you're trying to pay for that? So, that kind of stuff. And at least just to sit down and have somebody to talk to and here are some best practices or here's how people handle these kind of situations.
Yeah, it's interesting. And most people put it off and they don't need to do that.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, let's kind of go around and get some final thoughts, make sure everybody's touched on everything they want to touch on, and contact information, maybe website, social media for the bank, how people can do business with you. Shane, we can start with you. Any final thoughts?
I think we've covered it. Just a reminder about the business after hours, September 27th at the bank at 4:30 in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. You can contact me through our bank website, which is rivercity.bank. You can also contact me directly, 706-314-2055.
What is your home address?
You can also
he's speechless.
You can also contact Pam, and she can find me. And her home address is Old East Rome, and
that was nice.
I think you can also find us through our Facebook page as well, and LinkedIn. We're on both of those.
What did we do before social media?
Well, that's right. And same thing here. We're at the same website, but just click on Wealth Management and you'll see us. And you can see there's actually a picture of the three advisors, each of us, and our contact information. But Phone number 706-236-3536.
Pam, any final thoughts from you?
No, I'm just glad I got to come today. It's been a long time since I've been here. So
Yeah, well, Carly's been doing a fantastic job.
I agree. Thanks for having her all the time.
That's the nicest thing you've said to me, Roger.
That's up to you. I don't care who the chamber brings. But final thoughts, Carly? Contact information.
Well, you can obviously find us at Rome, GA. I always say Georgia because it's GA.com. And look at all our events. We have some ribbon cuttings at the end of August coming up, and then September we're kind of getting back into the jive of
Fall's
football.
crazy.
Yeah, football, a lot of business after hours, lots of ribbon cuttings, which is super exciting. And then you can always follow us on social media as well, which is Rome-Floyd Chamber.
Well, the ribbon cuttings are just a sign of constant business growth and development. I guess some celebrate anniversaries, and so it's kind of a weird way to gauge the strength of the local economy, I guess. Maybe I'm
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And can I say one more thing? I just want to say for anyone who does not bank at River City, just come by and say hello to us sometime. Just because you don't bank with us doesn't mean you can come by and introduce yourself, learn more about us, and see how we can help you. We'd love to have you. Just come in and say hi.
Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ava, for listening. We appreciate it. You've been listening to the Rome-Floyd Chamber Small Business Spotlight. We broadcast from the Hardy Realty Studios on Broad Street, and we work in cooperation with the Rome News Tribune. Thank you so much for listening.